Vote
Jen,
for
where's your hat?
vote for Pedro.
I don't have a hat today, guys.
Hey
Oh, come
there!
on.
What do you say there, world? She's got beautiful hair. That's why she doesn't need a hat. Welcome to
True.
the Races Recap, where we were just having the most heated debate that we couldn't air because
No, we're not. No,
we're not.
no.
We're not talking
Go ahead.
about it.
All right.
This is all about the amazing race. This is season 33, episode 5, and this is the new setup. Tell me what you guys think. I spent weeks making this thing, and we're testing it out tonight for the first time, and it stinks because James Earl won't be here to test out the other box. But
I don't see anything.
Looks the same to us.
No, it doesn't.
No, I just see the set reminder thing. Do I have to go back out?
I don't know what you see. Don't say
It says
that.
live in 8 minutes. That's why.
All right. Yes, we are live. They see us. Hey, does
All
it
right,
look
I'm going
different,
back out.
or is this the same that it's always looked?
I'm
Do you-
going back out.
Do you
Shut
guys
up.
see it in something new on the screen, or is Joey just messing with me because he's crazy? Okay, new setup. Thank you. Okay, you guys see it. Joey's just an idiot. That's pretty much what I figured. All right, you got to mute it there, Joseph.
I know it won't mute. I got to skip the ads
It
first.
won't mute. All right, so we're gonna have some fun today. James O can't be here because he's dealing with COVID. He's on the front lines of this COVID thing that we're dealing with right now. One of the doctors had to call out, and he's on the front lines dealing with the doctors on the show that we've had every year on the show.
Heard I fired.
A doctor of some sort. Anyway, you want to mute that, you idiot? You can hit
I'm
mute.
trying.
You can
I
still
like
hit
the new
mute.
setup.
Thank
I like
you.
the new setup.
Thank you. All right. Welcome to the party. We're gonna have some fun with this. For those of you who don't know, I've been uploading these now recently on every podcast network that I could possibly find. So whatever you get your regular podcasts on, you could start downloading it there and listening to the audio version. And if you're so inclined to leave a review with 5 stars, that'd be great because we get pushed up and more people get to see it. Speaking of like and subscribe and telling your friends about it, we're up to 55% of people who watch the videos and not subscribe, but that's going up. It's going up. So thank you guys for hitting that subscribe, that like button. All right. This episode was a very interesting one. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that wasn't shown, and I cannot wait to get into it. So let me pull this up here now that I know that works. So can I pull this over top of you guys without losing? All right, there we go. All right, so because there's this new format, we're gonna kick it off with the new format. Let's see if this works. I'm gonna press a button and we'll see if things start to move. Things should start moving over here. All right, next topic. Boom! Look at this. Hey! All right. There you go. All right. So 2 teams leave now every 15 minutes. That's the way it's going to be from now on, because of the private planes and the way people are checking in. It doesn't matter if you're an hour, 2 hours, a lead, whatever. Every team now is going to start in packs of 2, and they're going to leave 15 minutes apart. How do you guys feel about that new format? Jen?
I'm trying to just be like, yay, the race is on. But it does change it. On one hand, considering that like there are rarely multiple flights in recent seasons anyway. I think it happened like once or twice in my season. And you are rarely maintaining a lead from leg to leg. Like at least you're maintaining a little bit of a lead. So in some ways it's probably fine, and in some ways it probably helps stronger teams stay ahead deservedly.
Well, there's no everybody starting at the same time bunch up, but there's also no I'm going to get a big lead. So there's a little bit of both in there. And I think, listen, to get a race back, if this is one of the few sacrifices that we're getting, because watching this leg, you couldn't tell that there was anything different. Like there was nothing really else different about running the legs and doing the tasks that really makes you feel like this is a different, amazing race other than the starting.
And it does, like, at one point someone had said, and I don't know if it was, I don't know where it came from, but that they weren't allowed to like ask people for directions and stuff on the streets, which doesn't seem to be the case. Like it seems like they are still occasionally interacting with people when needed.
Yeah, and even they I didn't know that they were going to be allowed to do that, but obviously they can interact with whoever they want. as far as asking for directions and things like that. But as far as people doing tasks and challenges, and all the people that deal with that stuff have been vaccinated and checked to make sure that they currently don't have the COVID virus. Joey, what do you think? How do you feel about this?
I don't mind it, again, because I'm happy to have it back, but I'm just wondering what that's going to be like when they have the charter flight. It's not going to make much of a difference. I guess I'm hoping that when they get off the plane, there is some sort of, I guess I was just remembering when we were in Lake Como, when we got to the boat where we had to, like, we basically slept on the boat. We got there 2.5 hours ahead of the next team, Tara and I. And then we left 5 minutes off the boat the next, because they took us across the lake. And then our leave time was like 7:30, then it was 7:35, then 7:40. So I hope they have something like that, even if it's not the full amount of time, because when they're taking a charter plane, it's just this, you lose that, the different flights type of thing. But of course, as we know over the years, that's taken a completely different turn anyway, as far as catching flights where you can and can't go and what you can't do. So
yeah,
I'm a little interested to see that.
So, but what this does do is it guarantees at least a half-hour lead on some teams, which is something that you didn't always have. So those teams that are far behind are gonna be further behind consistently, which for teams who are consistently in the front, that's a really good thing. For teams that are consistently in the back, it's a bad thing. But the great equalizer is these long drives that we're going to be talking about in just a sec. Yeah,
I'm loving that part.
Yeah, they make a huge difference, and then 15 minutes really doesn't mean too much unless you're working with another team. But even that, then we'll talk about one team getting lost and how long they were lost for. So. Ryan and Dusty, Kim and Penn left at 7:30. Raquel and Kayla, Lulu Lala left at 7:45. Akbar and Sherry, Arun and Natalia left at 8 o'clock. 128-mile journey, which was about 2.5 to 3 hour ride if you took the correct way. And if you took the wrong way, it was 4 hours to 4.5 hours. There's two different ways to go. And let me see if I can bring this up here. All right, there you go. Pow. There you go. So this is if you could look at the Google map here, there's two different directions. The blue one is the way that the short people went, and the gray one went all the way around, and that was the way that the Raquel and Kayla and Arun and Natalia went. Well, Arun and Natalia actually probably did zigzags because they got lost a couple times, but most of the teams went the straight route right down following the blue lines there. And Arun and Natalia.
Didn't Raquel say they were following behind Lulu and Lala, and they were like right there the whole time?
They said they thought they were going to, and then they were like, they lost Lulu and Lala, but they said in the bonus footage that, Lulu and Lala, they can't be that far ahead of us because we're going in the right direction. Meanwhile, Lulu and Lala went the right way, and they went the long way. So there was literally.
It was scenic though. It was very scenic.
Literally 2 roads. That's it. If you went the right way, you only stayed on 2 different roads, and for literally 110 miles of it was on one road. Like once you got on the right road, there was no reason to get off of it for 110 of those 128 miles. So there's only time you switched was for 18 miles. So I didn't have any self-drive legs, so I can't just say like I did so great on it, but like I'm very confident that in my ability to read a map and know where I'm going before we start driving the car, instead of let's figure it out as we go along, like most teams tried to do. And if you watch the bonus footage, which we'll get to later as well, that Arun and Natalia took over 4 hours to get there. Raquel and Kayla took about 4 hours to get there. So
I love their confidence level of like, we are in first.
And you know what the great thing the great thing about them too is even when they're messing up and they know they're messing up, like, oh, she's the great navigator, I don't know what I'm doing, and then instead of like arguing, they just make fun of each other and giggle and laugh, and that's going to take them such a long way in this race. Like that ability to just laugh off these errors. I guess knowing that you got Arun and Natalia behind you and Akbar and Sherry, it's like a cushion. There's really no pressure because they're gonna.
One of the things I noticed that Arun and Kayla were both doing, and I thought it was odd, was as they were driving, and they're sitting there like this with they're
The
with
compass.
Yeah.
Stop
It's
with
like,
compasses in cars.
stop that.
It doesn't work.
You're right. If you have a compass, you should look at the compass and a map out of the car, away from the car, find out where you're going, then get in the car.
Yeah.
That's the
Too much metal in a car.
Right. And it's spinning around. You kind of know the direction you want to go. Anyway, there's way too much compass work there.
Yeah.
All right.
I loved how nervous Kim was.
Oh my God.
She was. Remember, she had all the maps and everything around her, and she just couldn't deal with it. She was just like out the window like this, like,
yeah,
I gotta jump.
But the bonus
awesome.
The bonus footage will show you why she is the smartest person on this race. As they're going, she's marking down towns, how far they are away from where they should be, and she's like at 68 kilometers. And she knew the odometer. She read the odometer. She was like, okay, we're at 68 kilometers. We should be getting near this town. Are we near this town? And she always kept track of where they were and if they were on the right pace. And she had a place. Like, if we got to this place, we went too far. Like, they were prepared. They did take a map reading course before this. They learned about landmarks and the way to read it. Like, so prepared for this race. I am so impressed with how much she prepared for this race.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, so the roadblock. Who wants to get down with the Travelocity Roman Gnome? Teams thought this was a dancing challenge. They were wrong. Well, it's hard to tell from this clue who wants to get down with the Travelocity Roman Gnome. Sounds like a dancing challenge, right? I mean, what would you guys thought it would be? Anything else?
Bungee jumping. I feel like that's a pretty reasonable thing, knowing the race and like this giant bridge. And I guess they got thrown off because maybe they thought,
if you know it was, I mean, if you knew the dam was there and you did study the race, there has been, season 14, episode 1, that was the race. James Bond, GoldenEye, that was the beginning of GoldenEye. I mean, it's been used in like 4 or 5 other movies as well. But again, I'm the super fan. I studied the race when I got to Africa. I didn't realize that was a throwback until after I did it. I'm like, oh my God, I wish I would have said swing, you fat bastard. And then I was like, damn it, it was so late that I didn't realize it, man. And so
with that, because of the clue it was actually so good the way they gave the clue. I thought for a second it might have been something like, because it's the Swiss Alps, I thought it might have been something like they have a lot of those toboggan things.
Yeah.
Like, so they used a lot of the luge things and get you in them, because those things are scary as hell on cement. Jen, I'm sure you must have done some of them at some point.
Yeah.
City. Yeah, I thought there was going to be something like that, but trying to take it from not a racer standpoint as a fan, and then as a racer standpoint going, where are we? What is it? And I thought that's would be something like that.
So it's a 722-foot bungee jump off the Veriscasco Dam with the Travelocity Roaming Gnome. It's the second highest bungee jump in the world. It's only behind by a couple feet, so it's pretty much the same exact as the highest bungee jump in the world. If you looked at it, some people were like, how did they not smack their heads off the dam? It looks a lot closer than it is when you're zoomed out. When you zoom in, it's pretty far away from the dam, so there's not like that. You could, flop like a fish and accidentally hit against the dam. The physics of it don't allow you to hit the dam. Sherry, Natalia, Kim, Lala, Dusty, and Kayla did it. And again, this has some of the best moments in the entire race. Obviously everybody knows Sherry was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, like 74 times. And she overcame her fear, and Akbar couldn't do it because he was too heavy. I think he even made a comment saying that he's like, I knew my weight was going to be an issue. Well, if you knew your weight was going to be an issue, why didn't you work on it at all? Because you look exactly the same as when you left. And even go ahead.
I was going to say that, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Justin, that brought up my point way back in the first leg the second. Remember when I said that it's good that she did that challenge and got it out of the way and everything, but she definitely slowed the team down because she was so afraid. This would have been a perfect opportunity for him to take that, because again, you don't know what's in front of you. You don't know if you're going to be overweight, because what if there's something else that Sherry has to do? And then you run into the whole, you have to do at least four. And if he can't do them, is there some sort of penalty or something? So I was thinking about that when she said that, but I was also like, this is like, her oh my God reminded me of Brett LaBelle with all his oh my gods. And then when it just, if you can compare Kim and Penn and Sherry and Akbar, the way they walked up to that, it was just two totally different, I don't know, types of things happening.
Yeah. Kim and thank you for the chat. 253 pounds was the weight limit. So I don't know how heavy he was, but 253 pounds. I mean, I know he's a big dude.
I'm 235 and he's way bigger than me.
He's like 6'6". How tall? You're like 6'3", right? 6'4"?
6'3", yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know.
He's got to be 350.
I don't know if he could have gotten down to 250 to make the weight limit at all, but damn. Sherry stepped up, mad props for her, and this was actually one of the cool moments for him where he showed so much support. Even in the bonus footage, he was like in the car, he was like, "Man, I'm so proud of you. You did such a great job." And I understand how much of a bum rap he's getting on his edit. His edit makes him look pretty bad. And if you watch it,
he said it. We all know that he said it.
He did say
it, but he said it.
He did, but that's also the way they talk to each other. Like if she's not some pushover. Like if you see her as just a regular person next to her, you're probably intimidated by her because she's bigger than your average female.
Yeah, I get that. Is he helping her when they're walking up the stairs with the bottles, which we'll get to? Is he helping her by getting on her ass like that?
I doubt it, but I don't know what motivates her. Like some people get motivated by that.
Well,
some people don't.
I think we could all agree she was very unmotivated by that. She was telling them to shut the fuck up.
Right, but she's also not some like pushover where it's like, oh, he's picking on her. Like she can throw down. Like she's not some little snowflake.
I think that's their clique and that's their thing, and I think that's how they get along and that's how they act. I mean, is it the edit or is their relationship? But they're not going to fucking win the race like that.
No, they're not going to.
I think we can all agree on that.
And the total opposite is Kim and Penn. I don't think there's ever anything that's going to ever happen on this race that would ever cause them to argue with each other, no matter what happens. There's nothing.
Do you know if they have a relationship book?
They do.
About arguing?
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
How to argue.
I might have to read that. Maybe Joey won't hate love forever.
I think it's called like How to Argue or something like that.
It is. It's like learning how to argue.
Yeah. And
I don't need that.
I do.
I do. Like me and Diana definitely need it. And I can't wait to have
argue with her.
Like Diana, she's a Philly girl, man. She's tough. She gets.
Well, I think you guys do well arguing.
Yeah, but we both get so intense that we want to win the argument. We both want to win the argument, and we just lose sight of the other things because we want to win the argument. And I think that's our biggest issue.
Fair. Yeah, that's that.
We just both want to be right. But Kim and Penn, this was a moment that, again, Joey, I know, whatever, it made me cry as well watching.
Well, all right.
Kid, like,
fuck. Okay, hold on. I'm going to say this, and the moment I saw it, I actually got on the edge of the couch. I sat up, and I was a little emotional. It reminded. I know, Jen. I know, but I was looking at Kim. Kim was clearly upset at this bungee jump. Now, the reason that this specific thing got me emotional was because she had so much time to think about it in the car on the way. And if you guys remember, Tara and I drove to the Corinth Canal to bungee jump. And I was pumping her tires the whole time going, you got this, never thinking it was going to be me because I hate heights. I'm afraid of heights. I just don't announce it. When they got, and I was the whole time, I'm like, oh, thank God that's not me. Thank God. So I started thinking about it. And Penn's reaction is incredible. It's true, pure love. And I absolutely adore it. I do. There, I said it. It needed to be said. No. But when Kim did exactly like I did. She has a fear. She walked up. She did nothing. She just walked up like she owned it. But what I really loved about it was when she jumped. I don't know why. This might be a nose moment. But when she was just hanging there going up and down, her arms were like this. And I'm like, that is the most beautiful thing I think I've seen in a long time.
Look at Joey.
I know. There was recently one other thing that happened a couple of weeks ago that I cannot discuss at all at this time. But it was so beautiful that she just did it, didn't complain, did it. And he was in tears. And he actually made up an excuse like, and he wasn't a big goofball then. They were just a partnership. And it was stunningly beautiful.
Yeah. The thing for me is I've had this same crying moment probably 5 or 6 times, not on the race, where just the thought of losing Diana makes me cry. Like right now, just even saying the words makes me tear up because, you know, and he even said, like, I don't know, he's so proud of her, but for a moment he thought about what would life be like without her. And that brought him to tears. Then that shows you the passion and the love that he has for his wife. And I could feel that on so many levels because it's hard for me to even just say the words out loud because it forces you to think about it.
Now, see, I thought he said that because she was thinking that, and because when I just said he made something up to come to tears, I think he was thinking through her. I don't think, because like he said, you're not going to die on The Amazing Race. They're not going to let you die.
Right.
So, but I think he was feeling what she was feeling in that moment, and that's why he said it, because she may have been feeling that, but she just went balls out and went through. Oh, Mark, I love you too. You're the best. Make me a bag.
Yeah, it's called Everybody Fights, so why not get good at it? Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, okay, all right. But yeah. It's just, her dangling there. And I watched everyone else's dangle. Funny, but just
I bet you did.
Just to see if I had the same sensation, and I didn't. I'm like, she killed it. That was awesome. It was a great, great moment for the race and them as a couple, and her as a super powerful woman and mother.
Yeah, and if I don't care if you don't like what they do for a living, but you have to like them as people. You have to like them as humans after watching the race. I mean, he could be corny and cheesy or whatever, but who's not corny or cheesy when you're talking to your kids? You know what I mean? When you're trying to make your kids laugh, and that's just what he does on a daily basis. I tried my ass off to not like them. Yeah, and I just couldn't. They're just they're good, and the way they run the race is incredible. They do remind me a lot of Tara and I. They really do. Jen, what do you think about the rock paper scissors to decide who goes first?
I'm not remembering this.
Oh, so Ryan and Dusty and Kim and Penn both got there at the same time, and they followed each other. And
I must have missed that.
And instead of like the first person to get the key, which was Kim, they said, let's do rock paper scissors to decide who goes first. And that's
extremely diplomatic.
Any chance you would have done that with anybody on your season?
I would not have.
Right.
Christy was more of the like, let's help people out. Like she was like the more helpful one of us. I was like the more cutthroat, if you can call me cutthroat. It honestly, it just wouldn't dawn on me to do that because I was always like so race minded. I never forgot that I was in a race. So if I got there first, I would just grab the clue. It wouldn't consider like, oh, we were kind of working with them on this drive and maybe we should rock, paper, scissors it. So
I think it's because they followed each other.
Yeah. And
what's that?
I think it's because they followed each other and they traveled together. So, but you're right. I think once I would have made the thing, once you park the car, game's on.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Jen. Yeah.
But see, the thing is, Ryan and Dusty, if you watch the bonus footage, said this in the car. They said, when we get there, we should do some rock, paper, scissors stuff because a foot race won't be fair. And I think they said that because they knew they beat him in a foot race. But Kim and Penn beat them in a foot race because Ryan stopped to look over the edge. Yeah. He stopped to look over the edge, and Kim and Penn beat him to the board.
But why did Ryan jump first then?
Dusty jumped first because he beat Kim in rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, I thought she won.
No, she put paper on top of scissors.
I don't know how to play that game.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we just hit each other with wiffle ball bats into the back of the legs till someone stopped.
I feel like though for Kim, it might have been good to go second, like to watch that you're not gonna die. Or it just gave her more time to think about it. But I was impressed with her, just how much you could tell she was going inward to like manage her emotions and her stress of that and to still be able to execute.
Would it surprise you to know that they actually took a course on how to deal with your fears? Because they did.
Yes. That's prepared.
All the courses. I was just like, oh, it's their age. That's why they're better with maps, but they like took a navigation course. Yep. I mean, I didn't even know that was a thing.
It was part of their research for the book they were writing, like how to deal with your fears, and like they use that to like saying like people who say their fears out loud. If you talk about it, it's easier for you to get through it, and
it just dispels it a little bit.
It kind of takes away like I like. There's nothing about them two that I could say anything bad of. Like the foreshadowing we'll talk about in a second too when we get there. All right, let's go. It's route info. We're gonna go to a route info. Teams must drive themselves to Piazza Carlo Battaglia to find their next clue. It's 27 miles. Takes about 45 minutes according to Google Maps, but not for every team. Arun and Natalia get lost on the way to this one as well. They take the wrong way for an hour. They go an hour in the wrong direction, so they have to come an hour back. So they lose 2 hours on something that should take 45 minutes. Is there any chance that they can get better at navigation in this short period of time, or is this ultimately going to be
frustrating? Because I watched them like talk about what they did. Like they've tried to get better at this stuff, and they're not. It's like it's hard. It's hard to watch. It's hard to see them get through another leg. And I know we only have so many teams, and we have to get through this however many legs of the race, and there's going to be more non-elimination legs, but it is tough because you want them to figure it out. It's like, you've made this mistake before. Don't make it again.
The one thing that, and I said it last week during relationship advice, Natalia needs to take control of that relationship, that team dynamic. The only thing they have not tried, besides discussing it and admitting that they suck at it and they got to get better, is
for driving.
Let Natalia drive. Let her take over, because he keeps missing exits. He's not Lozano. Pay attention.
But maybe she's not good at navigating too. Like we don't know.
She's not good at navigating.
They don't show enough of that. And like having a good navigator is better to have that person at the map in the back seat than at the wheel. And having someone younger and quicker with reaction time is more advantageous at the wheel. So I agree. I hope that they try that.
Yeah. And she looks like, I think she thinks she's way better at navigating than she actually is. Because again, she's holding a compass the whole time, looking at the compass. I'm trying to figure out where I am on this map first. Well, you're already driving. So you can't figure out where you are on a map if you're moving. I took advanced land nav in the Army. You can't do it. You got to map out where you're going first. And then when you're along the road, you have waypoints. That's what the compass is for. And she's not good at it. You would think Arun, with his history, he's been to several countries. He's a study, change it up. Just change it up. Do something different, or they're going to go home.
All right, Joe. Yeah. Joe wants to know, do they when they ask for directions, do they have to get people to sign off? Yes. Anybody that you talk to on the race has to sign a piece of paper saying that you can use their likeness on television. If they do not sign this paper, you have to ask them regardless. If they do not sign the paper, you'll see their face gets blurred. But the cameramen have this this paper that is translated in local languages that says, we want to use your likeness on television. We need your signature to allow us to use your likeness. Sometimes it takes 2 minutes, sometimes it takes 5 minutes. But yes, anytime you stop and ask for directions, it has to be signed. This piece of paper has to be signed. And that's something that the cameramen and the soundmen carry with them. And you have to wait for the cameraman and soundman to tell you before you can leave. You can't just run off. So yes, I hope that answers your question.
Little guy.
Oh, look at how cute. Oh, what a smile. Oh, hi.
We have to have toys for him too.
Hey, ducky.
You got food all over you.
Oh.
Nom, 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 nom. He's so cute.
That's so cool. So yes, they did have 6 weeks notice before the race, and they had 19 months to do anything else. So there's no excuse. So 6 weeks that everybody had at least 6 weeks. But when you go to audition and you go to get your second audition or whatever, and you get started, that's when you should start preparing. Like, don't wait for them to call you and tell you you're on the race. Start preparing as if you're going to be on the race. And in that case, you have 3 months. Like 3 months and at minimum 6 weeks. And 6 weeks is literally enough time to transform your body from 250 pounds to 150 pounds if you wanted to. Like, the pro fighters start training like for 8 weeks to get into shape for a professional boxing match. Like, so 6 weeks is like, there's plenty of time for you to get in any shape you want. There's no excuse. Like, literally, Akbar could look like freaking Mike if he wanted to in 6 weeks. Like he could drop the weight from here and bring it up to here in 6 weeks. There's no excuse. Take courses, and when you have 19 months off and you know navigation sucks, Arun and Natalia, that's all you should have been doing. Navigating.
Yeah, you just went through 2 legs of the Amazing Race. You know what you need to work on. Just get it done.
Yeah, I can't
Christine
believe.
and I realized in our first leg that compasses are useless in a car. In our very first leg, we were like, oh, this is showing us something different when we were outside of the car. We didn't know that going in. We thought you need to bring a compass because you're going to need to use this for all these navigational things. And it was more of a hindrance. And I only bring that up because they've had so many self-drive legs at this point. Like the fact that is still a tool that she's trying to use just is like, shows you how much they just aren't really figuring it out.
If in a car, it's north or south, east or west, and if you're like anywhere in between, that's fine. Like if you look in the compass and you're supposed to be going north and you're going south, okay, that may help you, but that's the only time it'll help you is if you're literally going in the opposite direction, which they were twice. So the compass obviously didn't help them because they were literally going south when they needed to go north twice. So the compass didn't help them. They drove an hour in the wrong direction. Like.
And after she said it, they're going in the wrong direction, and they kept going.
It's like, stop.
And then she said it again. I'm like, turn around.
All right, bartender race or sausage in case. Let's get to the detour. You guys ready for a little detour action? Akbar and Sherry, Kim and Penn, Ryan and Dusty went bartender. Rune and Natalia, Lulu Lala, Raquel and Kayla went sausage. Which way are you going, Jen? Physical challenge or skilled judge challenge?
I feel like, it's so hard, to be honest. I feel like it's harder for me to answer now because when you're reading the clue, you're not seeing I want to watch these episodes and not watch it and just listen to them like read the clue and then decide what I would choose, because I feel like watching it, I'm like, oh, I would have chosen sausages. But reading it, I might not have, and we might have done the bartender race. Regardless, we would have done things differently than what happened. If we ended up in the bartender race, that would have gone very different for me and Christy.
Yeah, I tweeted out live so I can give my honest reaction. So that's why I enjoy tweeting it. And I'm like, this is a physical challenge. We're going to beast this physical challenge. Because that other challenge doing sausages, if you've never made sausages, that's so hard to not rip the sausage casing. It's so hard to get it tight the way it's supposed to be. And for me, it's like even after watching it, it was probably the faster one, but I would always take the other way around because I always believe I could find a better way to do things faster. And now, as I'm tweeting it out, I'm like, this is what I would have done to do it faster. This is what I would have done to do it faster. And then one of the producers, Darren, was like, no, you wouldn't. Read the clue. You couldn't do that. So no, you had to use only your hands. You couldn't even rest it on your fanny pack, the bottles of wine. You had to only use your hands and your arms to carry those things.
But you have left your backpack.
You cannot.
You couldn't have.
If you left your backpack, you couldn't go back and get it. That was also in the clue.
You couldn't have left your backpack at the top.
Or in your car. You couldn't have left it in the car. You couldn't have left it on the bottom. You couldn't have left it on the top.
When? So I'm
in the extra notes. It
says you cannot leave your backpack. Yes. So you have to do this whole thing with your backpack.
This is what Darren, one of the producers, told me this as well. He was like, if you would have left your stuff, then that was it. You lost it for the whole race.
Okay.
But like that was my thing too. It's like, what do they just leave your pack at the bottom or leave your pack at the top? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Okay. If there was that many rules,
makes me feel a little better.
Because I thought, because I'm always the physical type challenge guy. I'm always like you, Justin. Without the judge, I just want my own power, and especially with my partner, I had an awesome partner, so we probably could have killed that. But because there were so many rules, Justin, like you said on the clue, that's giving you a hint that it's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And then like the sausage was like, okay, make some sausage. Well, I mean, did you see Arun sausage? Look, they're already done.
Yeah,
that's why they
that sausage was weak ass sausage.
That was yeah.
So Joey, would you have chose the nuts or the sausage? Which one would you have chose?
I would have got after. I gotta go after the nuts. You know, I'm a trooper. I like to take as many nuts as I can and just run with them. That's what if there's obstacles, jump over the obstacles with your nuts.
I did feel bad for those guys with those stairs because this was reminiscent of our Morocco leg, the number of freaking stairs that we had to go up and down. And like, if you start cramping up, I brought electrolyte pills with me, like little tablets that you could just swallow with some water so that you didn't cramp.
Right.
And
smart, super
I don't
smart.
remember if it was Dusty or Ryan, but I was just like, oh my God, they're poor calves. Because once you cramp, you're just done. Once you cramp, you're just completely useless.
Watching Kim and Penn's podcast, if you don't, I highly recommend it. They're awesome at it. They said they got there before everyone. They beat everybody to this place, and you had to park your car in a specific place. And they had stopped and asked for directions. They were literally 100 feet away from where they needed to be. And because the lady's phone was in one direction, it was like go up and make a right. It wasn't like centered. It was literally go up and make a left. And they went up and they were running around for a half hour, like driving around for a half hour, trying to find the garage that was literally like, it was just over the hill. They couldn't see it from where they were. If they would have just went over the hill and to the right, it was there. But they went over the hill and to the left or something, and they were running around for a half hour. So that's how like they got passed up by other teams. Because I'm like, how did they they're great with navigation. But that's how they did it. They lost it by doing that. But also, this is another reason why teams should not have two backpacks. There's no reason.
The backpack thing's crazy. Everybody's backpacks at this point have way too much stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine. I like having my own stuff and I like being in control of my stuff. So there's no world in which I'm racing without my own backpack, but like minimum, like bare minimum.
Yeah.
And these packs are still so stuffed and I just don't understand. The freaking foam roller.
Like they can't have a foam roller.
Maybe he needed it though with the freaking
Mr. Crampsy Cramps over there. If he would have had electrolytes instead of a foam roller, then he wouldn't have cramped up and you wouldn't need the foam roller there, buddy. Okay, so there's no way in the world that we would have not taken all 12 bags of nuts on one trip. Like Ryan and Dusty are absolutely crazy. There's also no way in the world I would have taken 2 trips with the wine. I know it's heavy. Like, okay, I'd rather stop halfway up and take a 2-minute breather, catch my stuff, and then go back up than have it to go up and down, up and down.
It's still going to be faster to do that.
Yeah, so
how about this? How about you take as many as you can? Yeah, how about you just take as many as you can, and if you drop one, so what? Now at least you tried to take them all.
Right, because obviously it didn't matter. It's not like you only had 12, so if you dropped it, you just get an extra one the next time.
Right.
Like Akbar
just
and Sarita.
Scoop up as many as you can, and I think Kim and Penn did it awesome. 5 and 7. He's got big, long arms. She's got little arms. Beautiful.
Absolutely, and I mean, and they again. They studied and they walked up mountains with backpacks, weighted backpacks, and kettlebells. So, and they walked upstairs in mountains doing that. Like that's how they prepared for the race. So they were prepared for this challenge. And they said,
so I just want to say one thing.
Yeah,
because I love Kim and Penn, but I do think that like at the time that I went on the race, I had a fairly flexible job, but I was working a 9 to 5. Like if I went on the race when I was skiing professionally, or if I was just like being an influencer, not to discredit what they're doing, but like you are in control of your schedule, you are in control of your workload, you are in control of how much you can like put in to like train. And there are people on this race that probably don't have quite that luxury. So I just feel like I need to give some people that maybe we're being critical of for not having trained as hard in this break.
Those people who are working those 9 to 5s probably will never get a chance at $1 million. So how much of your day would you an hour a day? Stop watching television?
Like food on the table for your day.
Okay, 10 hours. You got 10 hours to work. You got 8 hours to sleep. Now you got 6 hours to do what?
Most people go to the gym in some way. You know, they go to the gym, they go to yoga, they go food shop, something. There's time for you to.
I don't disagree, and I'm not saying that I wouldn't have also like I
understand.
People would find a way to figure it out, but I do think.
Well, Jen, how about this?
It's a little easier for Kim and Penn to do some of that additional training.
Jen, how about this? How about you're working a regular 9 to 5? You go on the Amazing Race, you go through 3 legs, and then they're like, you're going home. Now you already know what you need to do, and you got at least a year to do it.
Yeah.
Well, they went home thinking they were out of the race.
That's true. That's true.
I thought they were gonna bring them all back.
Nope.
Aruna and Natalia didn't know like right away, but still. I mean,
But
they did have at least.
They called you and they said you got 6 weeks.
Yeah.
What could you do to get ready in 6 weeks?
They knew about 6 weeks before that they were going back on.
Any athlete can get in shape in 6 weeks. Any normal human who takes 6 weeks straight of training with any trainer can get in any shape they want.
And I bet it was probably 2 weeks before that they got the call that said, "Hey, hi, dog," and they and said, "Hey, we're thinking about firing it back up. Are you available?"
They thought they were just being brought back for like pit stops in the finale kind of thing.
Yeah, that was the
coolest dog in the world.
He is such a great dog. All right, so there was over 300 stairs, about 300 to 340 stairs total. So it was a lot, and it's definitely a grueling task and something super physical. And this is something that you would expect Ryan and Dusty to win. But here's some foreshadowing. Every single time they talk about if it's a physical challenge, we're taking it and beasting it. If it's a mental challenge, we're avoiding it. If it's a physical challenge, they literally are saying this every single time. Do you see foreshadowing of them getting eliminated because of a mental task or losing the whole race, even if they make it to the end, but losing the race because the mental task is going to be what's doing them in? Is this a foreshadowing edit? Is this the Justin and Diana, like we're going to dominate the whole way and get beat at the end edit?
I don't think so.
It definitely seems like a little foreshadowing at the very least for the next episode, because we see that they're struggling at something.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. I do want to say there have not been mental challenges on this race yet.
No,
I'm like,
correct.
Where is anything cognitive, like other than the navigation?
Yeah, just the puzzle maybe. The map puzzle or the flag puzzle, maybe that was the mental
the first
test.
leg one?
Yeah, I guess that would be the. But there was also you could also take the physical task instead of doing that, which they did. So we'll see how it goes.
We had such cool, like mental, like detail oriented challenges. I'm hoping that there's some more of those start to emerge soon, because I feel like it is kind of like a one note thing right now, and it's fairly consistent. We're like, okay, we know what these teams are good at, but we need to mix it up in order to really see, like, do Kim and Penn truly have no weaknesses, or have we not seen them yet? Or like you're saying with Dusty and Ryan, are they going to get tripped up by some sort of puzzle or cognitive memory related task?
So Kim and Penn also don't see the chestnut stand that was right across the street from them, and they run around looking for it. They said there was a ton of chestnut stands, but they had to look for a specific one that looked like, Amazing Race-esque. Lulu and Lala get to the sausage task. They beat, obviously, Kim and Penn to the clue box because Kim and Penn got lost driving around. Lala falls in love with the guy who gives them the sausage, and that's obviously not the only sausage she wanted. She couldn't stop talking about this dude. He's like, oh, the blue eyes, he's so sexy. Even when they're making the sausage, she's like, oh, he's so hot. But they do a great job making the sausage, and they did. And they weren't sure about one of them, and they just made an extra one just in case, rather than being told, which I'm okay with. But I mean, go back and get judged instead of wasting the time, because you can always go back and do the second. I think they killed that task. Raquel and Kayla did the sausage, and they did it well. They didn't get it on their first try, but they went up and asked, and they were told, okay, this has to be redone. So they went back and they got it pretty quick. Kim and Penn make up some time because they carried all 12 in one trip, while Ryan and Dusty took 2 trips for the nuts, 2 trips for the wine. Obviously, we saw Akbar and Sherry. They tried to do it. Then they saw the stairs, went back, and they still took too much. Sherry dropped one. And this is where Akbar wasn't being the best of partners, and people got a little upset with him about it, which is totally, I could totally understand it. How people are doing it.
He did finally take her bag.
Yes, he did.
On the way down.
On the way to the pit stop.
Yeah. I definitely. We did notice that. We did notice that he was being but he was. You could see, if you've seen the dude on Ellen and you see what he does for kids at his school, he's obviously a good human. He may not be the best race partner, and he may not talk to his wife the way that we want him to, but that's their relationship, and she still loves him. And if you see him afterwards and you see them talking afterwards, they don't have any problems. It's not like she's pissed off.
Well, I think it'd be terrible that, you live all these years together, you do all these wonderful things, and then you go on race, and then all of a sudden, because you guys don't really do that specific thing very well, that your whole existence gets crumbled.
Right.
I applaud them for that. But And you guys know I never get any of this right at the beginning, but I said once they are taken out of their elements and what they know and what they're very good at, and you put them in a high stress situation where they don't know, right out there, out of their neighborhood, out of their state, out of the country, out of else, I said I think they're going to fall apart, and I finally got one right.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. I mean, you could see, right, that when they get into high stress situations, he tends to get really like argumentative and
We'll call it unsupportive.
All right, Ryan's legs get super crampy. I mean, Dusty's legs get super crampy. Lulu and Lala almost get hit by a bus. Raquel and Kayla see Akbar and Sherry, and they're like, okay, later. And just jet right past them as Akbar and Sherry are walking. You see another, I mean, there should be a shot of adrenaline. I know they were athletes 20 years ago, but that athletic competitive spirit has to shoot a little bit of adrenaline when you see another team running, that you try to run with them, that you try to beat them in a race. They just like, and just watch them run right past them and beat them to the mat. It seems like all the teams finish way before Arun and Natalia even start the detour. Even the pit stop greeter and the dog had to leave the mat before before Arun and Natalia got there. So let's get to the pit stop here. The winners of leg 5 are the team Ryan and Dusty. Teams had to retrieve a photograph from the Travelocity roaming gnome satchel and figure out where they needed to go. It was 0.7 miles from where they were, so a little more than a half a mile. So that wasn't too much of a run or too far to walk if you had to walk. Ryan and Dusty went a trip for 2 to the Dominica, which is, I've never been there, but a nice little island. It's not the Dominican Republic. It's a different place.
Okay, because I was just going to lose my mind.
Because I got married in Dominican Republic. Dominica is a different island.
Yeah, I just can't. I was kind of curious to know where it was. I'm like, it's not Cape Cod. That's all I know.
No, I'm pretty sure it's in the Caribbean. Ryan and Dusty.
Yeah, he said that. I think. Oh, someone said that.
So Ryan and Dusty have they finished 2-1, 2-1-1, and they have the best average ever in the history of the Amazing Race, so tied for it.
Woo!
Going into leg 6 with 1.4. 1.4 is their average right now. 3 first places, 2 second places, and the next closest to them is Kim and Penn with averaging 3 because they finished 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. So they're like middle of the pack, and then they're first, and then they're fading. Lulu and Lala 10, 10, 7, 4, 2. So they're consistently getting better. Akbar and Sherry 6, 8, 9, 5, 5. Arun and Natalia 9, 3, 10, 6, 6. Any chance that? All right, we all agree Ryan and Dusty, Kim and Pat are top 2. Do we think Lulu, Lala, Raquel, and Kayla, do any of those have an advantage over the other?
Yeah, every imaginable one.
Here's the 0.7. I got the map up if you wanted to see. This is a 0.7 mile run that they had to do. It's all along the water, so it's pretty hard to get lost. They had to go up a little bit to get into the park. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Top 2 are obvious. Yeah. The next 2 are obvious, and then the next 2 are obvious.
So top, middle, bottom, clear right now.
Yeah,
it's
same as last
week.
Yeah.
Whether or not something crazy and unforeseen happens, only time will tell, because it is the Amazing Race and those things happen.
Yes. Tom wants to know. Okay, sorry.
So far, for Lulu and Lala and Raquel and Kayla, I really can't tell which of those 2 teams is stronger than the other. Again, because we haven't really seen all that much dynamicness in terms of challenges thus far.
They're tied with Eric and Jeremy, who were one of the most dominant teams to not win the race. Second most dominant team to ever not win the race. Eric and Jeremy. Yeah, I think that's I think everybody could see that at this point. I think Raquel and Kayla have an advantage because their relationship, they're not getting into any arguments. They don't argue. They don't get upset with each other. They giggle and laugh. Lulu and Lala, they have that little Latin spark where they can don't mess with me, leave me alone. They have that they have that sister connection, but they also have that we're fighting like sisters as well. So they can go both ways with it. Whereas I think Raquel and Kayla are extremely level-headed, and they really laugh when they have issues.
Raquel and Kayla crush tasks.
They do. They really do.
They really do. And it again, I understand what you're saying, Justin, about how they kind of laugh this off, but I hope that, for lack of a better word, aloofness doesn't come to bite them in the ass where they're like, oh, ha, ha, we're late, but whatever.
Right.
It's like,
I agree with that.
I think the cushion of Akbar and Sherry and Arun and Natalia.
That's going to go away, though.
Yeah, when that goes away, we'll see. We'll see if it starts to tense.
Then the stress level, as you know, when you get down to 5 teams, 4 teams, you're like, there are no mistakes to be made here now.
Absolutely. All right, so we got some awards to give out here. Let's give out some awards to these teams. Jen, what are we talking about here? What do you got for us?
I feel like I need to retroactively give out my award from last week, because otherwise people are going to think I just give Penn awards all the time. So I think it was Dusty last week that was referring to Ryan's calves as bowling balls stuffed in onion sacks.
Yes.
And that one got a good chuckle out of me. As for this week, so you guys were all like teary-eyed with the Kim and Penn bungee jumping moment, and whatever Penn's line was, where he's like, Kim, you're not going to die. It's the amazing race. They're not in the business of killing people.
Yeah.
And that one got me. So Penn gets my LOL for this episode.
I literally said almost the same thing. I said, when Diana was going to bungee jump, I said, Diana, this is not just a regular bungee jump. Because they have so much insurance that they have to pay, they have to actually do extra. So this is even more, they're more protected than anybody who's ever bungee jumped off this bridge. Like, you're not going to get, she's like, I know, but and I'm like, so I had that same thought, like that would help, like alleviate but it didn't. Obviously, it didn't work. Joey, what do you got?
Joey hates love relationship advice. It's 2 parts. I think I already gave it earlier with Kim and Penn.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, if you're watching, you don't need my advice. You're doing it perfectly. Don't change a thing. Arun and Natalia, the same thing. Natalia, you got to take control of that relationship, or you guys are going to go home. It's that simple.
Yeah, and I agree with Dale. Dale says that Lulu and Lala cleaned up a lot of their issues, and they came back stronger. They look like one of the few teams that actually came back stronger, whereas all the other teams look pretty similar. From bonus footage, I'll give up my my superfan move. Is pretty much going to go to Kim every week, because like she is the biggest superfan. The taking of the notes, the ability of saying like, all right, at 68 kilometers we should be near this place. At 100 and something, like if we hit this place we went too far. Like she is the super fan of the season, and until somebody steps up and does something impressive, she's probably going to get the award every week. And it has nothing to do with how popular they are, how good they're doing. It's just like she gets it. She understands. She's always in the race. She's focused. Even when she's scared, thinking about bungee jumping, she's still focused. Like, and that's something.
Well, you gave one to Dustin and Ryan earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not that.
Yeah, but again, it's probably a lot of that stuff's gonna go there. But Dusty, if you watch and like a lot of the Instagram lives or that cast talks to each other, Dusty did physically the most training in between the race, because they knew they were coming back, and he got into better shape than anybody else besides Michael, who was training to be a professional bodybuilder. And so he trained, came back way more muscular. He watched all of the seasons of the race. Like he did his research. So, but let's talk about some bonus footage here.
Michael should have did some Sudoku or something to get his brain better.
Yeah. In the bonus footage, Raquel and Kayla are like, Dusty is the most cocky player on the race, and it's starting to rub them the wrong way. Like he is like he's telling everybody like, this is what I trained, this is what I did, I watched all these things, I watched the episodes, I physically did this, and they're literally gunning for them now. So there could be the U-turn ahead that's really, if people can beat them to the boards, I think that's the number one team. Every single team is
going to beat them to the board though.
Every team.
Oh, you know what? That might have been the foreshadowing from earlier.
any team that beats them to the board is going to U-turn them. I think Kim and Penn will U-turn them. I think every team
unless you were on my season and you were me and Christy and nobody U-turned us.
Well, you guys are always so nice. There's a lot of teams that are easily hateable in your season, like the winners. Lulu and Lala didn't study maps during the break. Even though they had issues during it. And I know I just said that they came back looking stronger, but they also didn't work out. So they didn't actually get physically stronger because they said this in the bonus footage if you watch it. Raquel and Kayla wanted this to be an elimination round. They said they're tired of teams just being able to skirt by. They also said that Dusty's getting very cocky. And they said that they made this statement that, I don't care how much they're winning now because the best teams don't always win the race. Tell me about it.
Right.
Tell Jen about it.
Piece of foreshadowing. Even in the behind the scenes.
Yeah. Arun and Natalia didn't take the toll road, which was the big problem, that there was a toll road and they didn't take that. And it took over 4 hours when most teams did it in less than 3. Raquel and Kayla took just under 4 hours, or right about 4 hours. They talked about that at the mat with Phil. Ryan and Dusty say in the car that they will propose the rock, paper, scissors. So it was their idea to do the rock, paper, scissors. Kim taking notes. I did that. They took a map reading course on how to read the signposts and read landmarks. So that's all I found from the bonus footage. Well, let's next week they're going to Corsica, France, where they will be making cheese. This cheese that they're going to be making is the hardest cheese I believe the hardest cheese in the world to make. So I think this could be the task, which it looks like Ryan and Dusty will struggle the most because it takes precision. It takes mental, clarity to be able to make this cheese. Somebody Instagrammed me or tweeted me that they went to France and did this task, and they said it's so hard to actually make this cheese. There's also going to be whitewater kayaking and some kind of mountain climbing during this leg. It should be very interesting. And you see in the bonus footage in the next week coming footage that at the roadblock, you've got Raquel and Kayla and Kim and Penn talking about this could be, we don't know where Ryan and Dusty are, but we also don't know where Arun and Natalia. We don't see Arun and Natalia, and we don't see Akbar and Sherry. But obviously, those two teams are ahead of Ryan and Dusty, so we'll see how that goes. Did you guys notice anything else from the next week coming up on the race? Cool.
Nothing you haven't mentioned.
All right, questions from Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. All right. In addition to finding out, where the eliminated teams, did they get sent directly home or did they go to a resort? I didn't actually get a chance to speak to anybody because people ignored me this week for some reason, or when they got back to me, they said they couldn't make the show, which is why we don't have a guest. But I'm going to guess that they didn't get sent home because the Amazing Race doesn't really ever do that. Even though it was COVID, I'm sure they still went to some sort of sequester because the sequester is usually in a nice big house where they have one person watching them and taking them to do touristy type of things in a safe manner. But I can't say that for 100% sure. When teams are doing self-drives, there's a cameraman and a soundman in a car. Do they use their phones? And do they know how far does the cameraman and the sound guy use their phones to know how far the teams are off course? Because the girls said that they were in first place, but they were actually really far behind. Do you think the camera crew knew? 100%.
The camera crew knows.
Yeah.
But they can't tell you anything.
They ain't saying shit.
They know how lost you are. And when we got lost in Bahrain, we actually had a tailing car, like a security car following us. And in thinking, we didn't know that at the time, and thinking back on it, I'm like, oh my God, because we were not that far from where we needed to be and just kept doing circles and we were lost for hours. And I'm like, this person tailing us knows exactly where we are and where we need to be. And that you just need to go left.
Yes. They're constantly getting texts and they're constantly sending text, and it's like a mass to everybody. So everybody knows. Yeah. Because camera crews have to be ready for when you get there. Security has to know. So there's always security up with the front teams and always security behind the last teams.
And Phil knows, like Phil
Yeah.
hears all this. That's how he's able to like ask the questions he can ask
Yes.
on the map.
Yeah,
Because
and
he
another-
like hears
yeah,
about
another
people's sagas as they're unfolding.
Right. Another little clue that the camera guys are doing is the sound guy is always texting the producers, letting them know, oh, ask Jen about what she meant when she was arguing with Christy here and there. That's why when you do those little after interviews, that the producers always know what to ask you. So when they do those little cutaways and vignettes, that's how they get that information. And then when we were in Greece, Tara and I were arguing over which Arahova to go to, and I heard the sound guy was on his phone. He's like, "Yeah, I don't know. There's a waterway on our right," and then he goes, "About 45 minutes." Like, so like, and I knew we were in the car for 45 minutes after we busted away from him. So I'm like, shit, maybe Tara was right. We should have went back the other way because he's clearly talking to someone, telling him where we are, and he don't know. So I was like, no, it's got to be this way. And I just kept to my gut, and we ended up being in the right place. We ended up just taking a different road other than the one that they gave us on the map. And then I just followed the waterway up because I remember seeing where it was on the map that Tara was holding. I remember it was up by the water, and if it kept the water on your right, you'd be okay. And then we as we got we got right in front of 3 other cars that took the other way. And I'm like, those are the 3 cars, the 3 other drive cars. It was London Logan right behind us.
Yes.
Awesome.
So Sequester was originally in Portugal, so I'm guessing that's probably where it was again. But some people say that after that season, teams were sent directly home. So I'm not 100% sure. I'll trust you guys. Yes, after this season, I have a couple ideas for specials. One of the big specials that I want to do after this season is done is I want to do a couples, best couples. I want to get Kim and Penn. I want to get Colin and Christy. I want to get couples who have like come back or couples who have run the race in a way that they were like extremely supportive, or like almost like a couples therapy for me and Diana. I want to have Diana on the show, and I want to have a couple teams couples that fought with teams that were really like Zen or really like Kim and Penn and Colin and Christy.
How about we do your season and shake all the bullshit out?
I know I want to do season 27 again. I mean, we have done season 27. I will edit that and put up the original one. At some point, I'm going to have to rewatch it. But yes,
I want to do it with you and Jen and James Earl.
It's
that would be incredible. And then we'd have Mama D on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
gonna steal cloud.
If we do a season 27, at the end of season 27, we will have the whole cast back for a whole cast like reunion and to see.
There's no way. We discussed this last year with Maya.
I know we did.
If we do Maya's, we're gonna do yours.
I know. I understand. It's very hard for me to think about, and
I just want to see you break down every week like an emotional cripple.
Yeah, I've never watched a finale of The Amazing Race since then without crying. 100%. I can't watch another team win the race without breaking down. It just brings me right back to where it was, and it hurts. It physically hurts me. So yeah, you guys want to see?
Have you watched your season again?
I only watched it live.
I've only watched mine live too. I haven't watched mine again.
I can't rewatch it as much. I've seen every other season 3 times except mine.
Maybe we should be each other's support group, and we should watch
I agree,
together.
Jen, totally. Justin needs this. That's probably why he cries all the time.
It is hard, and there's a lot to process with it. And I know, like, for people that haven't run the race, it probably sounds so ridiculous, but it is truly
it's emotional.
It's extremely emotional, and in some ways, like, it can be kind of traumatic. Like, it feels traumatic. Even though we had this incredible opportunity.
That's a great way to say it, Jen.
It is like PTSD for me. Like, I know it's not like war PTSD where people have to deal with that, but it's a physical.
Well, you had an expectation.
It's a physical reaction that I feel from watching something. It's like PTSD. It's a form of PTSD. I'm seeing a therapist now, and that's we talk about that at sometimes, and maybe I'll get into it when we have this special about some of the.
I think it's a great idea.
Some of the diagnosis.
100%. Yeah, my expectation, my thing when I started the race was I wanted to be in the final 3, and I said this on the show when you had me on the first time. My thing was, if I'm on the final 3, then nobody beat me. I mean, technically, maybe I didn't win the race, but I didn't get thrown out and sent home, and then. I think that came to bite me in the ass at the end because it was so emotional. And when we were getting on that plane, I'm like, yeah, I did what I needed to do, but I didn't finish it. And then I realized, like Jen, you just said, I was so emotional when we because we even thought we could be winning because they, Brooklyn's got always got lost too. So I'm like, shit, we didn't. What do you mean we didn't win? I totally expected to win, and I was crushed.
Yeah. It's definitely difficult for me just to think about. So watching it again is going to be very difficult. But
we're here for you, Justin.
But
I'm coming to New York.
I definitely we did record the recap right after the episodes when they aired, so I want to go back and I'm curious to see what I said and things like that. And I published like the first 6 or 7 and I haven't edited the rest because we did say things we probably shouldn't have said because I was going to start a Patreon, and if people wanted to really hear the behind the scenes that they would have to pay to hear it. But I never started the Patreon, and I figured the producers weren't paid the Patreon to hear that stuff. So I have to go back and edit certain things out that I probably shouldn't have said. So that's the reason that they're not uploaded yet. But yeah, at some point we will do every season of The Amazing Race on this recap, and I would obviously love to have you guys join us. But
everyone in this chat is saying we need to do 27 next. Everybody.
Well,
I'm getting texts on my phone right now saying, yeah, I'm not in the chat, I'm listening to it in the car, but 27.
All right, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, comment, share. All right, anybody else got anything that they want to promote or get off their chest? All right.
27.
All right, thank you guys so much. I know time is the most valuable thing you have, and for you to spend any of it here with us really means a lot to me. Thank you guys for the super chats. That you guys donated more money during this chat than I'll make probably for the whole season of episodes. So I don't do this for the money. I do this because I love it, and I'm a super fan just like you guys. I just happen to be able to live my dream. So thank you guys for continuing to support us.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys coming by.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.